Alan Ritchson had stepped onto Stephen Colbert's stage expecting a lively chat about his new action series. The audience greeted him with roaring applause, and he returned it with charm and confidence. Stephen opened with friendly banter, complimenting Alan's physicality and screen presence. At first, everything flowed smoothly, but things took a sharp turn when Colbert brought up Alan's comments from a recent podcast. So, about those remarks on method acting being overrated, Stephen began with a grin. Alan leaned forward. "Yeah, I said that. I stand by it." Stephen raised an eyebrow. "Even though most of your co-stars swear by it?" he asked. Alan chuckled dryly. "That's their thing. I show up, do the work. No need to torture myself off camera." The audience laughed lightly, unsure of where this was going. Stephen's tone subtly shifted, pushing further than Alan seemed ready for. Colbert, known for poking at pressure points, leaned in with a smirk. "But don't you think that sort of attitude undermines serious acting?" he asked. Alan blinked. "Serious acting? What does that even mean?" The crowd tensed slightly. Stephen replied, "Well, roles that require immersion in living the character, not just playing one." Alan countered, "And what? I'm not living it because I'm not being a psychopath off set." Laughter rippled uncomfortably. Colbert chuckled. "I mean, there's a reason why it's called a craft." Alan sat back, his demeanor shifting. "And there's a reason some people confuse craft with ego." The room went quiet. Stephen raised his hands. "Just having a debate here." Alan didn't flinch. "No, you're setting up a gotcha moment. This isn't journalism, it's passive-aggressive theater." Colbert's smile flattened. The tension turned unmistakable. Stephen tried to shift the mood, cracking a joke about his own method as a talk show host. "I stay in character as a snarky liberal nerd all day," he said, grinning. Alan didn't laugh. "The difference is, you get paid to judge from a desk. I bleed for mine." The audience was caught off guard. Colbert stiffened. "That sounds a bit intense for a sitcom actor turned superhero." Alan's jaw flexed. "That's exactly the kind of elitist comment that keeps this town fake." Colbert raised his eyebrows. "I thought we were just talking shop." Alan replied, "This isn't shop talk, it's bait." The energy was brittle. Even the band seemed unsure whether to cue in. Alan didn't let up. "If you want a punchline, use your writers. I'm here to talk about the work, not play your game." The show's producers exchanged glances off camera. Colbert, clearly unsettled, still tried to control the moment. "It's just a conversation," he said, voice lower now. Alan didn't blink. "You disguise sarcasm as conversation." The audience murmured. Alan continued, "And you bring people here thinking it's about the work, but it's all about scoring smug points." Stephen leaned forward slightly, his smile now completely gone. "Are you saying I'm fake?" Alan responded without pause. "I'm saying you're polished for the camera. Doesn't mean you're honest." The audience gasped. This was no longer entertainment, it was confrontation. Stephen cleared his throat, gestured for a break. But Alan stood. "No need. I'm not here for PR spin." Colbert tried to respond, but Alan turned toward the audience, nodding once. "Thanks for your time." Then he walked off. The studio lights didn't dim. The camera feed cut awkwardly. The show went to a sudden commercial. Backstage, chaos erupted. Producers scrambled. Interns whispered. Stephen sat silently in his chair for a few moments, then looked at his notes and shook his head. Someone from the team asked if Alan could be convinced to return. The answer came quickly. Number. Word spread fast. Before the show even finished airing, the incident was already trending on social media. Fans divided instantly. Team Alan and Team Colbert hashtags appeared within minutes. Clips from live audience phones started surfacing online. Alan walking off. Stephen's stiff expression. The awkward silence. Commentators began speculating. Was this real? Was it staged? But everyone agreed on one thing: it was electric. News outlets ran wild the next morning. Entertainment blogs posted play-by-plays. Headlines read, "Alan Ritchson explodes on Colbert set," and "Talk Show Meltdown. What happened behind the scenes?" Twitter and TikTok were flooded with clips and memes. One shot of Alan pointing while saying, "Use your writers," became a viral soundbite. Others praised him for standing up against what they saw as intellectual elitism in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Late-night circles buzzed with concern. The idea that someone could flip the script so aggressively had producers reevaluating their prep questions. Stephen stayed silent for 2 days. Alan, on the other hand, leaned into the moment. He posted a cryptic tweet: "You can wear a suit. Doesn't make you noble." Fans cheered, critics debated. The moment had become cultural cannon fodder. Stephen eventually addressed it with a controlled monologue. "Sometimes, things don't go as planned," he said, attempting humor. "Sometimes, the guest walks off and your joke budget goes up in flames." The crowd laughed lightly, but the air was different. He added, "I've been doing this a long time. I respect all kinds of artists, even those who walk out before dessert." He never named Alan. The subtext was clear. Meanwhile, Alan appeared on a podcast days later, telling his side. "I went there to talk about character development," he said. "Instead I was turned into a punchline." He spoke calmly, without malice. "I'm not sorry for standing up for myself. I'm sorry people think that's uncommon." That quote made the rounds fast. It resonated. Actors began weighing in. Jason Momoa posted a flexing selfie with Alan, captioned, "Real recognize real." Others followed. Gal Gadot tweeted, "Respect the work, period." Meanwhile, Colbert's defenders pointed out that late night thrives on friction, that guests should know what they're signing up for. But the tide was turning. Viewers didn't just want laughs, so they wanted authenticity. Alan represented a kind of raw honesty that felt rare in polished interviews. His refusal to play the media game was refreshing to many. The moment sparked think pieces, headlines like "The Day Talk Shows Died," and "The Ritchson Rebellion." Suddenly, everyone had a take. In the days following, Alan's fanbase grew exponentially. His show's trailer saw a spike in views. Interviews he gave months ago resurfaced with new attention. People saw his intensity as real, not manufactured. Directors praised him for being unapologetically himself. Magazine covers started calling him the anti-talk show star. Even Netflix tweeted a meme in support. Colbert's team, on the other hand, began softening his segments. No more jabs cloaked as jokes. More empathy. More balance. Ratings dipped slightly but noticeably, and everyone in the late-night business took notes. Alan had unintentionally reset the rules. Colbert's next few interviews were different. Guests came on edge. Questions were gentler. He even made a self-aware joke: "I'm not here to get kicked again." The audience laughed nervously. Internally, producers conducted reviews. Writers were told to tone down the edge. Alan's walk-off had sent a shockwave. The notion that someone could walk mid-interview and come out looking better than the host scared them. Executives talked rebranding. Shows began inviting guests they knew wouldn't clash. But the audience noticed. Viewers posted, "It's not the same anymore." Alan had done more than make a scene, he changed the scene. Months later, Alan was asked about the incident during a GQ interview. "Do I regret walking off?" He said, I regret that I had to." He elaborated, "We pretend that disrespect is entertainment. It's not. I want to work in a world where being real isn't punished." The interview exploded online. He wasn't just defending himself, he was critiquing an entire culture. More actors echoed his sentiment. Studios took note. Audiences applauded the change. Alan's words were even quoted in a university communication course. "Authenticity isn't raggy, it's refusal." The impact wasn't fading. Colbert invited Alan back quietly, through reps. Alan declined. "I've said what I needed to say," was the response. Instead, Alan appeared on smaller platforms, deeper interviews, real discussions. He avoided clickbait. He focused on craft. The show he came to promote, a massive hit. Critics said he gave the performance of his career. Fans credited the Colbert moment as a turning point. He wasn't just acting, he was living it. One review read, "Alan never celebrated the fallout, but he didn't apologize either. He let his work speak, and people listened." Years later, people still talk about the walk-off. It's taught in media studies, cited in think pieces, remembered in fan posts. The Ritchson moment became shorthand for calling out performative spaces. Alan himself rarely brought it up again. He moved forward. His career soared. He was respected, not feared, because people knew where he stood. Colbert, too, adapted. His show evolved. Less edge, more depth. And though he never publicly admitted it, The shadow of that night lingered quietly, permanently. Alan once said in a rare follow-up interview, "It's not about drama, it's about drawing lines." He explained, "If you don't, someone else will draw them for you." That quote lived on. Young actors cited it. Interviewers referenced it. It became more than a celebrity moment. It was a cultural checkpoint, a reminder that civility must run both ways, and that just because a camera's on doesn't mean you have to smile through the bait. Today, the moment lives on, not as scandal but as a shift, a signal flare in the slick world of PR and performative charm. Alan Ritchson didn't yell, he didn't insult, he didn't storm, he simply walked away when the line was crossed, and by doing so, he reminded the world that authenticity doesn't need applause, it just needs backbone. No script, no punchline, just a quiet refusal to play along, and sometimes, that silence echoes louder than any laugh.